I drive a 1993 four-cylinder Toyota Camry wagon with almost 300,000 miles on it. In car years, that's ancient. I drive about 20,000 miles a year, and I get 20 miles to the gallon, which I thought was okay. But using the fueleconomy.gov website, I calculated that my 1,000 gallons a year amounts to almost 22 barrels of oil, which means my car spews over 11 tons of CO2 into the air every year. Furthermore, it's costing me $3,500 a year to do all this polluting. I'd rather get a root canal than buy a new car, but I must. I want the best mileage and lowest emissions possible. I also want it to be cheap and gorgeous and last forever, but let's get real. I read and searched the web for news about electric cars, hydrogen cars, diesel engines, gasoline hybrids, and even solar. But it's not easy to separate the realistic options from the optimistic hype. So I decided to enlist the help of Mark Maynard, Wheels editor for the Union Tribune. I asked him about gasoline-electric hybrids.
There are two types of hybrids. There's a mild hybrid and a full hybrid. Sometimes they're called one-mode hybrid and sometimes two-mode. Now the Toyota Prius is an example of a two-mode in which it can be driven under battery power alone up to about 30 miles an hour. The one-mode, which is primarily a General Motors design, is a simple electric assist. I like the one-mode systems because they're simple, but you do not get the full impact of emissions. They're not as clean as a two-mode, in which it can run on battery power in the city. And in the city, that's where hybrids do their best.
Okay, a two-mode hybrid is cleaner than a one-mode, and both get better gas mileage than my Camry. A promising start. But what about electric cars? They didn't seem to be quite as dead as popular culture would have it.
You can work with someone and build your own for about $10,000. Tesla Motors is beginning their $98,000 sports car. But on the lower end, for an affordable home, family EV, there really aren't any more sold by manufacturers.
So electric is a possibility if I build it myself or spend $100,000. I don't think so. Next on my list, hydrogen fuel cell cars like the great-looking Honda FCX Clarity.
It's in the test stage. Actually, it is in a consumer hands now. There are 2 or 3 cars being tested by consumers. And those consumers all live within range of a hydrogen fueling station.
No emissions, no gas. A hydrogen car would be perfect if you could really buy one. I discovered, however, that unlike alternative automobiles, alternative fuels such as biodiesel are really for sale in San Diego. Nicole Kennard and Dave Richards own and run New Leaf Biofuel in Barrio Logan and are expanding their plant to manufacture biodiesel commercially.
Biodiesel is essentially vegetable oil. Chemical reaction transforms it into something that can be used directly in diesel engines. It's non-toxic, biodegradable, and much cleaner emissions than diesel.
Aha, now we're getting somewhere. This could work.
We go around to restaurants all over San Diego County, collect their used fryer cooking oil with our trucks and bring it back to our facility.
Where would I get biodiesel? For example, if I wanted to get a diesel car that would run on biodiesel, where would I buy it?
Actually, right now, the only station in San Diego is actually over on El Cajon Boulevard. The Regional Transportation Center sells B99.
Diesel cars get great mileage, but can I afford one? The only new diesel available in California is a Mercedes-Benz.
In much of the country, you can buy diesel-powered Volkswagens. You can get the diesel E-Class outside of California, but in California, they're not quite clean enough. I use VW Beetle diesel would get 52 miles of the gallon. People are buying those older diesels and converting them so they will run on diesel fuel or filtered fryer fat.
Okay, diesel is a bit iffy this year. But then I met Jim Rondinelli.
I'm currently paying about $2.50 a gallon at commercial stations to fill the car.
Oh my goodness. Jim is the enthusiastic owner of a car that runs on compressed natural gas.
I wanted the cleanest car that I could find, and this version of the Honda Civic GX, is the cleanest car that's currently available today. Second, there are a number of benefits: lower fuel costs, lower operating costs in general, and there are significant tax benefits available. You have a $5,000 tax credit that's available through the IRS just for purchasing the car. There's a grant program available through the California Center for Sustainable Energy.
What we do is give rebates for certain vehicles that are qualified by the Air Resources Board, and we write the rebate checks, and they vary from $1,000 up to as much as $5,000. There are compressed natural gas vehicles like the Honda Civic GX, and that's been the one category that we've seen the most interest in.
In fact, there was so much interest that the natural gas rebate well ran dry in just 2 weeks. So I wondered if the fuel supply would dry up also.
Where can you get it filled up with natural gas?
That part's easy. Fortunately, there are half a dozen stations here in the San Diego metropolitan area, here at Person Fuels, at the Shell station by the airport, and more conveniently at a number of the SDG&E service yards stationed around San Diego.
Commercially viable electric cars are at least 2 years away, as are plug-in hybrids. Hydrogen is just around the corner, as always. Diesel may be coming back to California, but not just yet. But I have found an electric vehicle that answers most of my concerns. No emissions, great mileage, cost efficient. It'll do until something better comes along.